They laughed at it in 2022. The influencers abandoned it. The traders dumped it. The Reddit threads called it vaporware, a failed Ethereum clone with a flashy roadmap and no real future. It had its moment in the sun during the 2021 bull run. There were interviews, partnerships, maybe even a few viral YouTube predictions. But as the market turned, so did sentiment. The hype evaporated. The charts collapsed. And the so-called Ethereum killers were tossed into the graveyard of forgotten altcoins. To most, it was just another casualty, another L1 that overpromised and underdelivered. Dead project. Bag holder coin. Move on. But something strange happened. This one didn't die. It didn't rebrand. It didn't rage pivot to AI. It didn't start chasing hype or airdrop farming. Instead, it kept doing the one thing that actually matters in crypto building. No daily Twitter threads. No influencer campaigns. No VC-backed marketing machines. Just quiet, consistent progress, protocol upgrades, developer tools, integrations, and enterprise pilots. Block by block. And while the rest of crypto got caught in a feedback loop of memecoins, L2 wars, and which chain has the best airdrop, this project was in rooms most chains can't even get into. Rooms with banks, logistics companies, governments, and yes, even Visa. Because while most of Web3 is still talking about real-world adoption, this project just went out and did it. While others are optimizing TVL and emission schedules, this one is solving real problems. Cross-border settlement, transaction finality, regulatory compliance, IoT integrations, things that actually matter in the real world. And then came the announcement, a name that every investor knows, a name that moves markets, a name that doesn't gamble on crypto hype. Visa. That's when people started looking again. Not at the chart, but at the fundamentals. Because this wasn't just another altcoin surviving the bear market. This was a project Ethereum can't match, not yet. Not in speed. Not in cost. And not in institutional traction. They laughed at it in 2022. Now they're double-checking their portfolios in 2024. Because this dead coin might just be the foundation for crypto's next real-world expansion phase. And this time, the world's biggest payment processor is on board. The fall and forgetting. To understand how far this project has come, you need to remember where it started and how quickly the tides turned. Back in 2021, it was everywhere. Top-tier partnerships were being teased. Tech influencers were breaking it down on YouTube. Crypto Twitter was hyping it as the one that could finally fix Ethereum's flaws. You probably even heard phrases like, faster than ETH, more scalable than Solana, actually enterprise-ready. The narrative was strong. The tech was promising. And for a moment, it looked like this project could be one of the defining winners of the altcoin wave. But the market has no memory, only momentum. As soon as the cycle flipped, everything changed. Bitcoin started sliding. VCs began pulling back. Regulators started circling. And just like that, the once hot L1s, including this one, were abandoned. The attention vanished overnight. The liquidity dried up. And the sentiment flipped from next big thing to, why is this still in my wallet? People moved on. They rotated into meme coins, yield farms, NFTs, and whatever trend came next. The chain wasn't broken, it was just ignored. No drama. No rug pull. Just the silence of a market that had shifted its gaze. The media stopped covering it. Influencers stopped mentioning it. Even longtime holders gave up, writing it off as one of the many could-have-been projects of the last cycle. And in crypto, being forgotten is often worse than failing. Because when the headlines stop, people assume the project has too. But this one didn't. Behind the scenes, the devs kept shipping. The core team stayed intact. Partnerships were being tested, not in hype decks, but in boardrooms. They weren't trying to build a community on Twitter threads. They were building an infrastructure layer for governments, banks, logistics firms, and real-world enterprises that don't care about meme culture. They care about throughput, compliance, interoperability, and uptime. While everyone else chased the next shiny thing, this team focused on credibility, not virality. Real utility, not just TVL and tokenomics tweaks. Because they knew something most of crypto still forgets. The future of blockchain doesn't just depend on who builds the most hype. It depends on who survives the silence and still delivers. This is what makes its comeback so much more powerful. It's not a trend reversal. It's not an influencer-driven revival. It's the return of something that never left, but that's now finally being recognized for what it quietly became, a legitimate bridge between crypto and the real world. The kind of project Visa doesn't just partner with, they integrate. The silent build phase. Crypto loves noise. It rewards hype cycles. It celebrates announcements more than deliveries. And in a world of discords, airdrops, and token incentives, the projects that stay loud tend to stay relevant, even if they ship nothing. But some builders play a different game. They don't chase pump cycles. They don't buy headlines. They build for something slower, harder, and infinitely more valuable. Real adoption. That's what this project chose. When the markets went cold and the influencers jumped ship, it would have been easy to fade. Easy to rebrand, pivot to AI, or launch a new staking gimmick. But this team didn't blink. They went dark on purpose. Not to disappear, but to focus. While most chains were fighting for narrative dominance, this one was finalizing its enterprise SDKs, rolling out pilot programs with real institutions, stress testing its consensus in production-level environments, building integrations for compliance, KYC, and cross-border payments, hardening the network for actual throughput, not just testnet bragging rights. No weekly hype posts, no vaporware metaverse trailers, just code, just systems, just infrastructure. They weren't chasing retail investors. They were sitting down with enterprise architects, government tech teams, and Fortune 500 innovation leads, asking a different set of questions. What kind of throughput do you actually need? How do we meet your regulatory obligations? What would it take to connect your payment rails to a blockchain? They weren't trying to get listed on another exchange. They were trying to get embedded into the financial layer of the real world. And here's the thing. That work is invisible until it isn't. Because pilots don't make headlines. Compliance updates don't trend. But when they go live, when the integration is finalized, everything changes. That's what happened here. Quietly, over months and quarters, the team turned their Ethereum killer into something far more dangerous. A real alternative. Not because it promises decentralization, but because it delivers functionality. The chain matured. The tech hardened. The vision narrowed, not to please Deegans, but to meet the standards of institutions. While the market yawned, this project made it easier for governments to issue digital assets, helped legacy banks experiment with tokenized FX, enabled cross-border payment platforms to test blockchain finality, gave real-world companies a compliant, scalable blockchain to build on without the headaches of L1 congestion, L2 complexity, or volatile gas fees. This is the phase no one remembers, the unglamorous middle, where the project doesn't die. It evolves. And when the Visa announcement finally dropped, it wasn't a surprise. It was the result of years of serious, invisible work. Because Visa doesn't integrate with promises. It integrates with systems. The announcement didn't come with fireworks. No influencer threads. No hype trailer. No token burn to celebrate. Just a press release. Plain, quiet, clean. The kind of thing the average crypto trader scrolls past without noticing. But institutions? They noticed. Visa, the largest payment processor in the world, had just partnered with a blockchain project the market had all but forgotten. No, not Ethereum. Not Solana. Not any of the headline-hunting ETH killers, promising 100,000 TPS and struggling to deliver 100. Visa partnered with this chain, the one that kept its head down and its code clean. And that single announcement, though simple on the surface, represented a tectonic shift. Because Visa doesn't move fast. It moves carefully, strategically, and with decades of regulatory scar tissue behind every decision. When it enters the blockchain space, it's not experimenting. It's placing a calculated bet on infrastructure it believes is ready to scale global commerce. And that means this project isn't just alive. It's battle-tested, risk-vetted, and enterprise-approved. Why this matters? Let's be clear. Visa is not looking for yield farming. It's not bullish on memes or speculative layer 2s with complex tokenomics. Visa cares about one thing: payments that work, globally, instantly, securely. And this project delivered where others couldn't. White heavy checkmark, near instant finality. No more waiting 15 minutes for confirmation. White heavy checkmark, low transaction costs, fractions of a cent, not $10 gas fees. White heavy checkmark, compliance hooks, built-in support for KYC, AML, and auditability. White heavy checkmark, interoperability, the ability to plug into existing banking rails and ISO 20022 standards. White heavy checkmark, enterprise reliability, not eventually consistent, but always predictable. That's what it takes to earn Visa's trust. Ethereum, for all its innovation, still struggles with high fees, network congestion, and reliance on fragmented layer 2s. Most blockchains haven't even addressed basic compliance, let alone built for global finance. This project did. It wasn't built to go viral. It was built to plug into the real world. Not just a logo deal. Let's also be clear, this wasn't one of those headline deals where a project slaps Visa's name on a website after issuing a prepaid debit card. This is deeper. We're talking technical integration, a real use case, a real system, a real connection to Visa's backend. Whether it's settling stablecoin transactions, enabling cross-border B2B payments, or exploring CBDC interoperability, this project is now playing at a level where most crypto projects can't even get in the room. Because this partnership wasn't about a moonshot. It was about infrastructure quietly becoming inevitable. What comes next? Once Visa enters, others follow. Now central banks are paying attention. Payment companies are running pilots. Financial institutions are exploring how to tokenize assets. Not in theory but on-chain with this project's tech. What used to be just a speculative token is now becoming a platform for regulated finance. And in a world where real-world utility is the next narrative, this project didn't just pivot to that story. It wrote it. They said it was dead in 2022. Now it's doing what Ethereum can't. And the rest of the world is about to catch up. Why this changes everything. This wasn't just a comeback. It wasn't just a price recovery, a community revival, or a new feature release. It was something deeper, something structural. Because when a project goes from forgotten to Visa validated, it doesn't just prove it's alive. It proves it's aligned with the real future of blockchain, not the imagined one. And that matters more than most realize. The crypto dream is changing. Let's be honest. The last few years have been loud. Meme coins, rug pulls, 100x tokens with no roadmap. Even the serious projects have often been chasing narratives: modular, ZK, AI, L2S, shifting gears every 6 months to stay relevant. And in that noise, crypto lost its North Star. Real adoption, real use, real impact. That's why this moment is so important. Because while the industry chased attention, this project built the invisible bridges to TradFi, to payments, to institutions. And now those bridges are open. Ethereum isn't ready, and everyone knows it. Ethereum deserves its crown. It's the backbone of DeFi, NFTs, and smart contracts. But even Ethereum's biggest supporters admit the truth. It's too slow for global payments, too expensive for micropayments, too fragmented to offer a smooth UX, and too complex for most institutions to trust. Ethereum is still innovating, but it's not enterprise-ready, not without roll-ups, bridges, and endless compromises. This project, it skipped the patchwork and built something clean, focused, and functional. This isn't the end of the road. It's the starting line. A Visa partnership isn't the top. It's the entry point into a different league, where real value flows through the chain, not just TVL, where governments test CBDCs on your rails, where banks build settlement layers using your infrastructure, where millions of users benefit from crypto without knowing it's crypto. This is how blockchain quietly becomes part of everyday life. Not by yelling, "We're the future," but by being quietly embedded in the systems that already run the world. And for this project, that moment just began. For those who slept on it, this is the warning shot, the early signal, because the market still hasn't fully caught on. People still think it's one of those 2021 coins. They haven't realized it's becoming infrastructure, but they will. Because as Visa's announcement echoes, as other institutions quietly plug in, and as this chain starts settling billions in value, while others are still coming soon, the market won't ignore it much longer. This isn't just a partnership. It's a line in the sand between projects that are still selling the dream and those that are finally delivering it. From forgotten to future infrastructure. In 2021, it was just another altcoin on a long list of Ethereum killers. In 2022, it was dismissed as another failed experiment. No hype, no headlines, just a name buried beneath broken charts. But in 2024, something changed. Not the tech, it was always solid. Not the vision, it never pivoted. What changed was the world finally catching up to what this project quietly built. A bridge between crypto and the systems that actually run the world. Visa saw it. Institutions saw it. And now, slowly, the rest of the market is waking up. Because this isn't about flipping ETH. It's about doing what Ethereum can't, at least not yet. This is about finality in seconds, compliance out of the box, costs low enough for micropayments to matter, real businesses integrating without waiting for layer 3, adoption without speculation. While others talk about real-world use cases, this one's been writing contracts, signing deals, and settling transactions. And now it's back in the spotlight, not because of a pump, but because the fundamentals finally caught fire. The story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. Because when Visa validates your chain, the rest of the world follows your roadmap. So next time someone says, "That coin? Thought it was dead," you'll know what to tell them. No, it was just early.